Hey, it's Suze. Welcome to tonight's episode of Keep the Bad Guys Away. Hey, you know what? Nothing really bad happened today. It's just that nothing good happened today. Nothing changed. And I just sit here and I think to myself, you guys have got to be kidding me. Like, what in the hell? I mean, okay, it's terrorism, but I'm not a terrorist. I'm not Al Qaeda. I'm not the Islamic Republic of Iran. But apparently, I guess I'm listed that way as most, I guess you would call it suggestive evidence in that damn stupid FBI damn database, that National Crime Information Center, stupid fucking corrupt FBI database. Apparently I'm listed as Al Qaeda. But anyway, so I want to tell you about my Bethel, Alaska story. Okay, so this was horrible. I had gotten railroaded down in Los Angeles, and one of my travel nurse companies, Meridian Medical Staffing, they're in Colorado, they said, hey, Suze, you want to go to Alaska? I'm like, okay, let's go to Alaska. And they paid for my nursing license, and I went up to Bethel, Alaska. Now, the only way that you can get to Bethel, Alaska is by plane. I mean, it is 300 miles west of Anchorage. So I flew from LA, I think I hit Seattle, up to Anchorage, and then over to Bethel. All right. So now I knew that there was something wrong when I got there, because I was rooming with two other people. It was like hospital provided housing. I mean, I'm up there in rural Alaska, and one was a nurse from Seattle, and the other was this respiratory therapist that didn't even have a license to be a respiratory therapist, but she was not a respiratory therapist. Sorry, radiology tech. She was a radiology tech from Texas. And so, anyway, it's like they just were giving me all kinds of hell. I mean, I went up there with one duffel bag because I had just gotten all my shit taken down in Los Angeles based on a bunch of damn freaking government crime. Delays in background checks, running out of money. The nurse had stole all my stuff because her husband was a legal alien and she was pissed off. I called Homeland Security and all that stuff. Well, whatever. And so I'm dealing with all that, and then I get up to Bethel and I don't hardly have anything. I have a laptop netbook. I've got a duffel bag and a couple uniforms. I'm getting hacked by my roommates because I'm washing my clothes every other day. Like, oh, you can't waste all that water. It's like, we're going to have to pay for that water. I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, everything that I own is with me. I mean, which I brought up one duffel bag. And that was a duffel bag I bought at the like a Salvation Army or Goodwill or something down there in LA, and then a couple, like a nursing uniform that I had, and then just a few other things. That's all that I own. Everything that I own I brought up to Bethel, Alaska with me. I have nothing else. I mean, this is what the FBI has done to me. I have nothing. The FBI and some of these corrupt cops and all this damn legal issues. I mean, I have nothing. Okay, I have no family. My entire family is missing, and the only property that I owned when I went to Bethel, Alaska is what I brought with me, one duffel bag. And I'm getting yelled at for not having anything. But so anyway, I'm getting just, if every single last thing, I was doing in the house was wrong. Anywhere from like washing clothes too frequently, or not eating, or not cooking, or not socializing with these two damn bitches that I was stuck living with. So anyway, finally, I had tried to even call the marshals when I was there, and I tried calling Congress and all that stuff, because that's what I guess I'm supposed to do. And then finally I made like an email report into the Bethel, Alaska Police Department. And I didn't even have a phone. I had no phone. The only phone that I had a phone kind of like this from Virgin Mobile, but it doesn't work up in Bethel, Alaska. I didn't have a phone, so except for the house phone, and I couldn't call the police on the house phone because, they would know because they were there all the time. So anyway, so when I got to work in the emergency room, I'll never forget, Officer Turner, he came up to me. He was so pissed off. He's like, if there's a problem, you need to call us, and don't be emailing the police. I'm like, well, dude, and I had to explain to him, I don't have a phone. Okay, so he's like telling me, get a phone. I'm like, okay, crap, I guess I'll have to wait till my next paycheck, I'll get a phone. So I got a phone. This cost me damn $300, dude, and it doesn't even work half the time. The battery's always dying, and it just shuts off. But anyway, so I kept having problem after problem, and I had to it got to the point where I couldn't even live with my roommates there anymore. And so then I was forced to go to a mediation with my roommates at the hospital because we weren't all getting along. And basically what these two roommates were trying to do is that they were trying to get me out of a job. They were trying to make me look so bad in front of the hospital that I was like the most evil, wicked person in the whole entire world, so I wouldn't have a job, so I'd be out on the streets in rural Bethel, Alaska. I mean, this is what these two bitches were doing. So, but anyway, I guess thankfully, you know, I had the police picked up on it, and I had called the Homeland Security tip line. God, you know, when I was up in Bethel, probably a zillion times, the 1-866-DHS to ICE. But all right, so anyway. Another time I got a phone call, actually it was on Skype, you know, this was actually before I went out and got this phone. I got a phone call from Top Secret Special Agent Krill. His real name is Special Agent Paul Burkholder. He's down in Houston. I guess I should just say what his name is. Special Agent Paul Burkholder. He's the agent that ICE Customs at the airport found for me. You know, I had to have Customs find me an agent because some of these agents are assholes. So I figured if Customs found me an agent, you know, then he might be a good one, so, and not be mean to me. But anyway, so Special Agent Paul Burkholder calls me on Skype, and apparently some cop down in LAPD called and yelled at him for letting me get on a plane. I'm like, what the damn hell? I mean, dude, I can get on a plane. TSA lets me on a plane all the time. I mean, I get extra screening and stuff like that. But I'm like, who? And then I'm like, who the hell is damn yelling at my agent? I'm like, oh my God, there's all kinds of crap going on with my roommates up there. We go to mediation, and then somebody's yelling at Special Agent Paul Burkholder, some damn cop, and then I'm like, who the hell's gonna? And I'm like, somebody needs arrested for this shit. But so okay, and then moving on in the saga. So when I'm at work, the Alaska State Troopers, you know, were there one day. Actually, there was a couple troopers different times, but this one very, very nice Alaska State Trooper, Matt. Here's his business card. He gave me a business card. Trooper Matt. I said, you know what, Trooper Matt, I showed him my ICE letter, my victim letter. I said, you know what, I think I'm having some problems with my driver's license. See, you know, I got these like Nevada driver's licenses because I think I got some like, you know, massive identity theft here. And then, you know, see, I had asked the Highway Patrol what the heck they thought I should do, you know, as an Arizona. They told me to get an Arizona ID card. So that's what I did there. And see, and I have a U.S. passport. But see, things are still, yes, no, I have a U.S. passport. See, a real terrorist, morons, hello, morons. A real terrorist would not have a passport issued by the U.S. Department of State, dated, date of issue, August 6, 2009. Okay, got that, law enforcement morons? A real terrorist would not have a U.S. passport issued by the U.S. Department of State and be allowed to use it. Use it for identification purposes, use it to get out of the country, because, you know, everything, this is all coded here, it gets swiped through, all right? Okay, morons, got that? All right, so anyway, so I asked Trooper Matt, could you just, like, look into this? Because I think there's something still not right, because if people are still hacking me and treating me like I'm Al-Qaeda, which is basically treating me like shit, like me being under some kind of terrorist sanction, some kind of bullshit like that, you know, it could be based on, you know, my driver's license. I know it's based on Nevada and that damn stupid fucking Nevada FBI. I hate those assholes. But, so anyway, Trooper Matt checked into it. Trooper Matt cited the FBI. So this is the Alaska State Troopers cited the FBI for all this BS about my driver's license, however the hell I'm listed every time a law enforcement officer runs me. Okay? Thank God for Trooper Matt. I wish he could throw a bunch of people in prison for it, but I think they only have 9 or 10 jail cells up there in Bethel. And God, there's just so many jerks in this case that, you know, they wouldn't even have room to put them. Okay. So, anyway, moving on. Like I said, I faced so much retaliation there for my roommates. I ended up moving out. I ended up living with some dental students from the village, and then I ended up living by myself for a while, and then I ended up having, you know, I kind of was sort of dating, if you want to call it, a cop up there, and so he actually looked into my case, and he told me an FBI agent's going to be going to prison, and I'm thinking to myself, he actually told me that, he told me that, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so like only one FBI agent's going to be going to prison? You know, it's like I got a long list of assholes that I'd really like thrown in prison, but apparently there's going to be an FBI agent going to prison. So we don't need to be treating me like a damn terrorist. If you want to like, you know, cite anybody, why don't you cite the damn FBI instead of treating me like shit? All right, so then, anyway, moving on. Then I take a nursing contract up in Anchorage, Alaska. my travel nurse company, Meridian Medical Staffing, forgot to fly me out of Bethel, so Alaska Native Medical Center was ever so kind to do that. And I get to the airport at Bethel, and I could not get my boarding pass. I was flying Alaska Airlines, and that's who I flew into Alaska with. So here's what happened. I gave them my debit card, and then they were saying that my debit card wasn't working. And I'm thinking to myself, my debit card is working, because Special Agent Paul Burkholder is the one that fixed the cybercrime based on a whole scam down in LA last year. So he's got a lock on my account, so that's working. So it's not my debit card. Plus I got plenty of money in there. Hell, I was forced to work like all this damn overtime by a corrupt nurse manager up there. So I know I got money. And then I'm like, okay, well, if you say my debit card's not working, all right, I'll pay cash. So I tried to give the guy cash. He wouldn't take cash. Oh no, you're not allowed to take. You're not allowed to take cash. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you fucking damn asshole in Alaska Airlines. You know, it's like, I know what the hell you're trying to do. You're trying to leave me without a job in rural Alaska, without a job, without a place to live, and then just, you know, expect me what, to just walk to where, like, my next destination? And what am I going to do? Leave all the new property that I just bought? All my new luggage, all my Briggs and Riley luggage, and all my new uniforms that I bought over the course of a few months? You trying to steal my property, Alaska Airlines? I mean, I was furious. And so, but anyway, a manager ended up overriding it, and I was able to get on the plane, or get my boarding pass. I did call another one of my agents, Special Agent Phil Roney's up in Buffalo, New York. I have him based on my missing cousins, so I called him and I yelled at him, because I'm like, this is damn bullshit, you know? But anyway, so I get up to Anchorage, and, you know, and I asked TSA about this whole situation, and they're like, do you think you might be on a no-fly list? I'm sitting thinking, okay, these motherfuckers in the FBI. I'm on a damn no-fly list. So the TSA, nice TSA female agent, she gave me this business card of Dan Palmer. So I called Dan Palmer on my Alaska phone there at the Anchorage airport, and I'm like, Dan, okay, so like extra screening does not bother me. I do realize I'm a victim of terrorism. I realize that there's this whole jacked up situation, so extra screening doesn't bother me. Going through all that stuff, I don't care if you go through my bags. I mean, TSA is always leaving me notes in my bags. We searched their bags. I mean, hell, I don't care. I don't have anything to hide. You know, I mean, when I was at the San Juan, Puerto Rico airport a couple of years ago, they even did this whole cotton swab thing where they swabbed, you know, my hands, and they put the cotton swabs in the machine, and they were like, you know, the guy was like, oh, that was a check to see if you were a terrorist, and it came back, okay, you're not a terrorist. So I'm like telling Dan Palmer, I'm like, I thought this was all worked out in San Juan, Puerto Rico a couple years ago. And then he's blaming the FBI. So TSA, Dan Palmer citing the FBI up there in Alaska. That's based on this damn no-fly list. And that's thanks to the FBI, you know, the damn stupid agents. Okay, so then we got the Alaska State Trooper cited the FBI too. Now, I can't help it that nothing's been damn prosecuted, but if you can apply anything, a real terrorist would not be allowed to get on a plane. A real terrorist probably wouldn't have all these agents who have been helping her. A real terrorist would not have a U.S. passport issued by the U.S. Department of State. A real terrorist would not be allowed to go into a foreign country and pass through the officials of a foreign country. I just did that in Mexico. I was just in Mexico. Now, if I was a real terrorist, the Mexican authorities could have taken me down right then and there, because let me tell you, apparently I throw up red flags all around the globe. Every time I do anything, every time I get on a plane, every time I go outside the country, I throw up terrorist red flags, all in the global terrorism database. And that's all thanks to the damn stupid FBI. But the Mexican authorities, if they would have really thought that I was a terrorist, they could have tackled me right there. And I also, you know, went right through the military police right there in Reynosa. I mean, you know, if the military police thought I was a terrorist, they would be tackling me, and they'd just be cutting my head off, because, you know, other countries, they don't put up with this crap. Okay? So, multiple law enforcement agencies have already cited the FBI, Homeland Security investigations, multiple times. Financial crimes, troopers are citing, you know, the FBI based on all this driver's license crap. TSA citing the FBI based on this no-fly list. Apparently the FBI, you know, the FBI does this crap all the time. They're always putting people on no-fly lists, you know, and then people get to the airport, and then TSA always has to clean up the shit because of the FBI. And, you know, and I told TSA recently, you know, we were still working on this no-fly list issue, and I told them, I said, you know, I don't even know if I'm going to have to, you know, find an attorney, file a civil lawsuit, or if my Homeland Security investigations agents are going to be able to prosecute this. I mean, I don't really know what to do. But I was never able to fully get the document to actually show that I was on the no-fly list because they stole all my crap down there in McAllen and Harlingen, Texas. They're such jerks. So, but anyway, I've really had it with not getting any help. And I think the reason why I'm not getting any help is because I'm listed as Al-Qaeda in that National Crime Information Center database, that corrupt FBI data, you know, whatever, data bank. And let me tell you why I think that the hell that they did that. They did that because they pawned the kids. See, here was the situation. Back in 2006, the U.S. Department of State Office of Children's Issues, you know, I had called them because there was crap going on with my son. And they even asked me, the State Department even asked me back then, well, what is the FBI doing about this? I'm like, oh, well, that's a good question. You better look into this, so the next time I contact you, it's going to be to get my kid out of Iran. So the State Department has cited the FBI. So anyway, in 2006, the State Department told me of a similar case that they intervened in Colorado. The case went like this. The father was considered by the government to be a terrorist. The woman and children were not. And the family court was having a hard time figuring out how to make orders. So the State Department intervened in some way. It was sort of my understanding that they maybe actually came down and intervened. So, but anyway, for whatever reason after that, I thought that they would do a little bit more my family law case. And then I thought maybe they were talking to attorney Randy Roski. Apparently not, since court was a disaster. But I think it basically boils down to the fact that I am somehow listed in that damn stupid FBI database as Al-Qaeda. So they would do that so then nobody would be able to do anything for the kids, morons. Okay, because Homeland Security Investigations actually arrested the guy they thought was a terrorist. I mean, even Special Agent Peter Lazaro, even though I don't agree with how he let a lot of this stuff go, I mean, he even told me I'm a victim of crime. So, you know, I'm really sick of the police and the sheriffs and everybody else letting, you know, not helping me, you know, in every city and state that I go to, just because you want to believe in NCIC database. I mean, you know, the Alaska State Troopers, they looked into this. They looked at my Homeland Security letter. You know, they had my agents' names. You know, they thought through the process a little bit. A real terrorist can't get on a plane. A real terrorist can't have a U.S. passport. You know, they made some phone calls. They did an investigation. They just didn't say, oh, well, and then, you know, just like not help me or whatever. You know, but that's what I'm getting a lot in the lower 48. So, you know, I mean, I don't know what the heck to do. I don't know what to do. I can't get an attorney because this is too big. There's a lot of crimes, a lot of associated crimes, but they've got me listed as Al-Qaeda so nobody can do anything for the kid situation, because the FBI knows more than anything that I will do anything to go after my son. So by listing me as Al-Qaeda, that takes away all my legal rights in the United States of America. So that allows the FBI to impose sanctions. So the reason why I can't get any damn law enforcement help in America is basically because I am on unlawful sanctions by the fucking FBI. And they did it so they could pawn the children. Because if I wasn't listed as Al-Qaeda, if my son, my little boy, my baby child is apparently listed as Al-Qaeda too. See, if we weren't listed as Al-Qaeda, the State Department would have been able to intervene in my family law case like they did in that Colorado family law case. So it was criminal intent by the FBI to misrepresent me in the law enforcement database, because the FBI traded the kids, pawned the kids, promised gifts to terrorist organizations. They promised people to terrorist organizations. So, you know, I'm not a terrorist. My son's not a terrorist. My family's not a terrorist. But I'll tell you where the hell the real terrorists are. There's a bunch of them around the Bay Area. That would be the family of the fool that Homeland Security arrested, Peter Lazaro arrested. They're all around the Bay Area. There's a bunch of them in LA. There's a bunch of them in Chicago. There's a bunch of them in Houston. There's a bunch of them in Phoenix and down and through Tucson. That's where the hell the terrorists are. Me and my family, we are not terrorists. We are victims of this crap. So I am sick of law enforcement. Anytime I call them or anytime they like try to run me, and that includes the sheriff's office down there in Harris County, Texas, because I asked you for help and I was only a couple miles away from Special Agent Paul Burkholder and Homeland Security down in Houston. And I asked you for help and you didn't help me, and there were state issues that you could have helped me with. So I'm sick of you just running my license and being like, oh, you're a terrorist and we're not going to help you. Well, guess what? You know, in the end, you guys are all going to lose. But just hear me out that I am not a terrorist. It's fraud. So if you got enough damn brains in your frickin' head, apply something. A real terrorist can't get on a plane. A real terrorist can't pass the U.S. Secret Service background check and tour the White House. A real terrorist would have been taken out in the 16 countries that I visited, and especially most recently when I presented myself right to the military police in Reynosa. So quit trying to conspire with the damn FBI and all that bullshit just because you want to just sit there and play games with me. You think you can just come in and use me for sex, steal my property, do nothing for my family, do nothing for my kid, manipulate the nurses that I work with, just because you think you're going to get in good with your damn jackass friends at the FBI. Well, let me tell you, Alaska has already cited the FBI and said FBI agent's going to be going to prison. So if you want to keep working with the FBI agent that's going to go to prison, guess what? I think that means you'll be co-conspirators and your ass will go down too. So that's what it's like to be a victim of terrorism. It really sucks in the United States, which is another reason I'm going to be leaving. But anyway, any of these fucking undercover assholes, any of them try to like sit there and ask me out, try to bust through my door, try to think they can damn use me for sex, or getting a whole fucking can of pepper spray in their damn face. And I'm going to take this damn freaking stun gun, I'm going to use every jolt in it, and I'm going to fucking blast them until they just fall over unresponsive. Because I am sick of all this undercover crap trying to treat me like I'm some goddamn terrorist, or try to think if they just be nice to me or something like that, that they can get some kind of information out of me. I don't have any damn information. If you want terrorism information, why don't you go gravy train, you know, the terrorists are all over in the Bay Area, down in LA, up and through Chicago and Texas and Arizona and so forth. And if you want to do anything lawful, you'd help me find my son. Anyway, so that's tonight's episode of Keep the Bad Guys Away. I'm sure I'll get a lot of retaliation from this, but you know what? I think law enforcement deserves it. I really do. So, I'll see you next time.